You join me today in a video that was recorded during a time of the Great Mask Famine. Not to be confused with the Great Mask Famine, which was one that Rubies came out with many years ago. I thought it was a great one for a cheap, mass-produced famine. That was a great famine, but no, this particular video that you're now watching was recorded during a mask shortage of epic proportions. And well, even though I typically present and review and discuss brand new latex masks and the art thereof, well, when masks are in short supply, as they were when this video was being recorded, I have instead resorted to talking about some of the things that you could do to spruce up mass-produced masks to make them look a little better. Some things that I have done anyway. And by the way, none of this is like, here's how you have to do it. No, this I'm just sharing. Here's what I did. You may want to do something else, but see what you think. You know, folks, if you grew up anytime after the 1960s, you're probably aware of Grandpa Munster, a character beloved by millions and made famous on the classic TV series The Addams Family. Yeah, of course. Now, Grandpa Munster, as played by Al Lewis, was already made into a mask, being a very popular guy. Grandpa was made into a mask that was available for commercial sales. There may have been any number of them done as private editions. We're not talking about those. We're just talking about licensed masks, okay? Grandpa was done at least 3 times I can think of in the past, twice by Don Post Studios around the time of the Munsters TV show in the 60s. But they were not super high-end, wonderful, big, you know, they weren't made for wax museums or anything like that. They were just mass-produced novelties to be worn and played with and enjoyed at Halloween. One of the grandpas was well, kind of small. It had a great face. It looked just like Al Lewis, I think, but it wasn't wonderful to me. I'm not sure why it didn't push my buttons, but I wasn't crazy about it, even though I could see the character was there. But it was never offered as a deluxe edition. It was just a cheap sell-through Halloween novelty. The odd thing about that is there's at least one photo of Don Post and Al Lewis, who played Grandpa. You following this? Yeah. There's at least one vintage photo of Don Post with a mask of Grandpa that's super deluxe and has real hair glued on and looks great and looks just like him. I don't believe they ever offered that for sale, and I never saw one like it anywhere. So maybe that was for some special event or something like that. Maybe a supermarket opening. Maybe for sale as a limited edition through Vincent's Drugs. You know what I'm talking about? No. But anyway, that version I believe was never offered for sale, the deluxe. It was just the cheaper one. And somebody in the 90s had a mold on that somewhere because, how do I know? A small number of them were sent to me to be painted. And I think I painted one gray for a guy, and I think I painted one kind of a purple color for another guy. The thing about that is, what color is Grandpa Munster? Well, over the years it's kind of been officially decided that his complexion is blue. I mean really blue, like Smurf blue, like bluer than that bottle was. It isn't now. Really blue. But at the time of the series, it was a black and white show, so maybe some people grew up watching it in black and white, and in their head they presumed Grandpa Munster wasn't blue. He was either just a normal skin tone, but pale. Maybe he was gray, maybe he was chalk white, maybe he was purple, maybe he was green, but a little odd. You need to be a little creepy looking. So eventually, over the years, blue became the accepted official color, so that's how they make all the Munsters collectibles and toys and such. Grandpa is usually blue. But back in the day, there were artifacts from that era where Grandpa was not blue, such as like little cheap Halloween masks. Remember the cheap Halloween masks they had in the old days with the rubber band that popped off and would snap you in the eye? Remember those? Yeah, they had one of Grandpa like that. And it was just normal, like Caucasian skin tone. And then after the Munsters, years later, he appeared as Grandpa, but not Munster. And they changed the spelling. On the Munster, it was Grandpa, which is how anybody would spell Grandpa, including Uncle Grandpa. Yeah. But in later years, when he hosted cartoons and movies and such in character, he looked slightly different. His face was gray, not blue, and his hair didn't have any black in it. It was very gray, very light. And the spelling was Grandpa, G-R-A-M-P-A, like grandpa. And, no, I didn't say Krampus, I said Grandpa. That's what it looks like, but actually on the Munsters it was Grandpa, okay? But it's not completely insane that Trick or Treat misspelled it as Grandpa on the tag and the sticker for the mask, because Al Lewis did call himself Grandpa, although when you're talking about Grandpa Munster, it's okay to spell it Grandpa. Where was I? Oh yes, the masks. Another Don Post edition was out also way back in the day, sculpted by Ellis Berman, the guy who did a lot of the 800 line masks. That one also, somebody somewhere must have had molds on it, because a couple of them ended up floating through here. Could you paint this for me? And I painted 2, maybe 3, I don't know. It's been a long time, but I think I painted them blue, strictly blue. I remember at least one case I said, what color would you like? And somebody's like, whatever you think. And I went with blue. So it was nice too, but the cheaper one was actually a closer likeness to Al Lewis than the full head, a little bit nicer one. But there never was a super deluxe nice one, like with real hair and stuff, in the tradition of the Don Post Universal Monsters and Planet of the Apes masks and those. There was never a Grandpa that was like really high quality, although years after the Don Post attempts, there was another Grandpa Munster from Elusive Concepts, and that one was, well, odd. I was never crazy about it either. I didn't think it was great either. It was a little too wrinkly for my taste. His features were a little too exaggerated, just in my opinion. But the main thing that I think on which we can all agree is that it was not really logical for the Elusive Concepts mask to be large enough to risk being occupied by squatters. That thing was enormous. It was gigantic. You don't know what they were thinking. It's like if there was a giant King Kong version of Grandpa Munster. But anyway, even that one, it had sculpted, molded hair. It didn't have real hair. But even that one, a couple of collectors sent them here, and I repainted it, and Laura put real hair on a couple of them. So that was cool to see how nice she could get it to look. And the color on that one was kind of a really, really pale turquoise, if you can imagine, like a kind of tealy blue-green sort of color with a lot of white in it, so it's really pale. Anyway, my favorite sculpture, finally, one that I really thought was great, of Grandpa, or Grandpa, however you want to say it or spell it, was the one from Trick or Treat, which was, well, which was licensed. It was licensed, and I know people are complaining. Get ready to complain, because I've got a store-bought mask here. The problem with it is not the sculpture, which I think is marvelous and really captures his little impish, friendly, smirky smile that he has. Or is it a smirky smile, or is it a smiley smirk? Not sure. I think Smiley Smirk used to work down at the parlor with Herman Munster, didn't he? Anyway, this is the Grandpa from Trick or Treat, and it says sculpted by Alex Ray. Good job with the likeness. And it also says Grandpa, spelled like he spelled it after the Munsters. Moving on, we find that it could use some improvement. What's wrong with it? Well, he's got brown hair. I don't know if you can see that, but I looked and I asked around, and I asked all the various AIs and so forth, and I looked at a million photos. There is no evidence to think any scene or episode or movie or anything with him in it had brown hair. And I think somebody must have been looking at The Bride of Frankenstein, as played by Elsa Lanchester, when they put these gray streaks in, because that's not what Grandpa Munsters look like. So we thought maybe we could make it look a little better. And this is that hair that I don't care for anyway. It's not only brown and gray, but it's that stuff that it never looks like real hair to me. And you can try to like comb it and fluff it out and stuff, but it never looks like real hair. To me, it looks like that stuff you see when they peel up the carpet in your living room to put down new carpet. It looks more like that stuff. But with a little love and maybe a little magic, yeah, a little sorcery, you can fix up a Grandpa mask to, I think, look better. See what you think when I show you. Well, again, this is right out of the box. Here comes one redone by me and Laura. Now, what did we do to this one? Okay, I had two, obviously. I chose this one to be the one I was going to redo the paint on because it had a couple of flaws in it. Namely, there was a little bit of brown splatter on the one side of the bridge of his nose, up near the top of his nose. And the other thing, arguable if it's a flaw, it's just a variation from copy to copy, but I didn't care for it. And that is the blue, that is the darker blue, went way down here onto his cheek on that one. And I know you might think vampires have dark circles around the eyes, right? But when you put dark down onto the cheek on this particular vampire, well, it doesn't look right to me. It's sort of, it's fighting the sculpture. It's at odds with the fact that he's got his cheeks puffed up because he's smiling. And when you put the dark too low and too heavy beneath the eyes, it's kind of at cross purposes with the design. And if there's one thing you don't want to do with vampires, it's be at cross purposes. You see what I did there? Because vampires normally don't like, yeah, you got it. You just gave it back. All right. Anyway, so that's why I chose this one. Other than that, they were pretty much identical. I made him slightly lighter on the highlights just because that looks a little better to me. Slightly less Smurf blue, slightly less blue, slightly more gray, slightly paler, but very, very close. It's not drastic, it's just a slight change. And you may notice the big thing that's changed here is the hair. I wonder who did that. If you guessed Louis XIV of France, you were wrong, because it was actually, in fact, Laura Lady. Remember her? She redid the hair by taking off the brown scuzzy hair and applying black hair. And if you're going to do that yourself, here's an interesting trivia tidbit about Grandpa Munster. He is maybe the only character I can think of who has a part in his hair that goes all the way from front to back. And if you look at him in the stills and in the episodes of the Munsters, you will see, I hope you can see this on your video monitor of choice, his hair is parted all the way down the back of his head. And it takes a long time to do that, and I totally understand why a mass-produced mask, you know, that would be a lot more hairline and a lot more time. But the mass-produced masks always, that have hair, always just have it go straight down. But that's not actually technically correct, because Grandpa's hair is parted all the way down the back. And if you can't see this because of all the blackness, it's sort of swept this way and this way on the back of his head. And he doesn't have these big giant gray patches. He has white. And now obviously Grandpa Munster was made up a lot of different times, and there is some leeway, which of course, if you don't know what leeway is, that's the door you leave open so that Lee can get out. There's some leeway as far as the exact nature of the hairline and the sideburns and the sides there, the temples. There's always some white going on, and it's always fluffed up. Sometimes there's a whole lot of white and it goes almost back into the back of his head. Sometimes there's just a little bit. Sometimes the hairline is blacker than others. Sometimes his hairline is almost white. So you can kind of pick a still or a photo or an episode of the Munsters of your choice and go for that effect. Now the strange thing about the eyebrows, they're sculpted on the mask, so that leads me to think at some point it was felt that they were going to just be painted rather than have hair glued over them because they're sculpted on. So that means you can't move them around wherever you want to because you have to cover the sculpted molded in ones. But I think Laura helped him a lot by mixing some gray and black together and by giving them a little bit of curl. The way that the hair looks that they stick on there, it just goes straight up. And he has more of his eager and enthusiastic personality if the hair on the eyebrows is curled. You see that? Just like a bat's wing. Grandpa likes the sound of that. Here's another thing that I did to be a little different. They have him looking straight ahead with the eyes. I changed that just a little bit. I tried to make it look more like his cheeks and his lower eyelids, rather. His lower eyelids are covering the bottom edge of his irises. So I think that makes him look a little more like he's doing that. You know, when you squint up your, squinch. You like the word squinch? Yeah, when you squinch up your eyes and stuff. The other thing I did was I gave him eyeliner, which is not real eyeliner like from the cosmetics department at the drugstore or something. Black paint. just black paint. But I put a little line of black paint above and below the eyes because I think that looks more like he really looked, because everybody on TV wears eyeliner because it makes your eyes show up, right? The only guy on television I can remember back in the day who wore more eyeliner than the Munsters was Perry Mason. Man, did he wear a lot of eyeliner. Anyway, I gave him those little black lines, and one more thing I did was I painted just small. You don't want to be too heavy-handed. You got to be kind of subtle, kind of use a light touch. A little bit of black just above his eye, where his eye starts to meet his brow. See that there's just a little bit of black that I added there, which is a little different from this one. And as far as exact placement of the light blue and dark blue, again, it's going to vary from mask to mask because these things are made by human hands, except of course the ones you get from me. Laura made his white temple hairs here kind of messy because they always are. They always look kind of messy. Sometimes they're curled more or less, more up or down or back. You can pick, like I said, any still or sequence you like as far as that. But this was what Laura chose to do with this one. Just kind of, you know, to capture the right look of the upswept white sides. And did I do anything else to this guy? Oh, these masks already have what I like to call the letter Y painted in here, which Al Lewis absolutely had as part of the makeup. If you can see that, the letter Y painted on his cheek, in there where a person's cheek sinks in above your bottom jaw and below your cheekbone. I made that a little darker because in the movies, well, the movies and TV show, it looks pretty heavy to me. That his face looks very light, and that Y on his cheeks, both sides, looks pretty dark. So I darkened that in a bit. But would be really fun to have a full-size mannequin of this guy. If I had room, and if I wasn't a poor, broke, creepy cheapskate, I might do that. But what a great sculpture this is from Mr. Alex Ray. And here's how it comes. Here's what you can do with it. This is what you want. This is what you get. This is what you want. You with me? Who else remembers Johnny Rotten? Sure. But there is Grandpa with a little before and after. And it is my hope that when I tell you these little things that I did to masks and the Lord did to masks, it is my hope that you will maybe apply the same principles to other masks and not just think of Grandpa Munster or whatever character I'm talking about that week. I hope you'll think, yeah, I could do that with this or that other mask that I have, and maybe make your collection look a little more deluxe and a little more lifelike and a little more scary or evil or funny or determined or whatever each monster is supposed to be. But there's your before and after of what you can do, and this shows you what a wonderful likeness the sculpture is. It's hard to tell when the hair is all wrong because you get distracted by that and then you don't really notice how good. But look at that face. Man, that's good. That looks just like Grandpa Munster to me. However you spell it. All right? And, well, it's time for me to go and work on paying the bills. Got a lot of bills to pay. Got all upset about it. Got all nervous and stressed trying to get all my bills paid. And I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll take a break and I'll do what I understand some of the human beings do when they're nervous and stressed out. I'll sit down and see what's on TV. So I tried that. Turned out to be the bad idea, though, because the first thing I saw was a commercial for Mountain Dew. Not that there's anything wrong with Mountain Dew, just that it reminded me of the two kinds of bills I have to pay. Mountain and Dew.